Halifax just crossed the 500,000 population mark, incomes are rising, and well-being is finally bouncing back. But storm clouds are forming on the horizon. So let's dive into what the Halifax Index 2025 report is really telling us and why 2025 could be a turning point for our city. Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, my name is Greg Pierce. I'm a local real estate agent and investor on the east coast of Canada, servicing the Halifax area of Nova Scotia. If you'd like to learn more about real estate or Nova Scotia, please click on my Calendly link below in the description to book a one-on-one call or meet up at a local coffee shop. All right, let's get into it. So today we're breaking down the key findings from the Halifax Index 2025 report, which is a yearly deep dive into the city's economic health, community progress, and how we stack up against other major cities in Canada. 2022 and 2023 were years of extreme, talking record-breaking population growth, runaway housing prices, ultra-low rental vacancy rates, and decades-high inflation. Not to mention a major dip in overall well-being, but in 2024, Halifax saw a bit of a cool down. Inflation finally eased, the housing market somewhat stabilized, and the Bank of Canada began cutting interest rates. That brought some much needed relief for residents and boosted purchasing power for the first time in 3 years. In 2024, Halifax's economy expanded. We led the pack among benchmark cities in household income growth, and unemployment stayed low. Halifax was projected to keep growing in 2025, according to a winter forecast from the Conference Board of Canada, but that was before President Donald Trump returned to office in the US. Now, economic uncertainty is back in full force, with trade risks between Canada and the US re-emerging as a major concern. And with that, there are several warning signs we need to keep an eye on. Trade and tariff risks that could hit our export-heavy industries, productivity issues with Nova Scotia continuing to underperform in this area, public debt and long-term demographic challenges, and a shrinking private sector job market and a decline in self-employment. So to address this, a new initiative launched in April 2025 called the Productivity Puzzle. It's meant to spark real conversations and solutions on how to boost productivity, grow smarter, and improve our quality of life. So with that being said, here's a quick snapshot of how Halifax performed in 2024. So currently our population now sits at 503,000, which is the third highest growth year on record. In terms of jobs, we've got strong growth, but mostly in the public sector, so we need to see more coming in from the private sector. And then income, our per capita income rose by 6%, which is great to see and an important metric to keep an eye on. And then purchasing power, as I've mentioned before, is up 3.4% after years of decline. Fortunately, our poverty rate is down to 13.3%, and overall our well-being has improved as inflation easing and purchasing power are two major metrics that contribute to that. In terms of real estate, we're seeing record high housing starts, but costs are still rising above inflation, and that is definitely a concern. And now with the HST removed on purpose-built rental housing, we're finally starting to see more supply come online, but it hasn't quite caught up with the demand yet, and that's still cause for concern. So what's next for Halifax? Halifax continues to be one of the fastest growing and most resilient cities in the country, but resilience is not the same as invincibility. We'll need to stay nimble, productive, and inclusive if we want to keep this up. And as always, future growth is not guaranteed, it's earned. The Halifax Index in 2026 will show us whether these new initiatives sparked real change or just more talk. So what do you think? Is Halifax on the right track, or are we missing something big? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on our next update on what's really going on in Atlantic Canada. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.